buttons or buttons through it. Let's switch. I should put like a tiny tripod arm on there. He's thrown hundreds of thousands of button combinations through it and used it IRL. That was one of the other big tests, is to have something that's robust enough to work in the field. And it does. And I've used it, hundreds of thousands of buttons, for various things, like controlling cameras, controlling DMX lights, pretty much anything I want on my PC. You know, there's really not a limit. As long as you can press a button and turn something on or off, or press a button to trigger a one-shot of something, you can use the twiddler thing. In fact, one project I'm working on right now is essentially a live looper that uses a twiddler and a Raspberry Pi and a microphone. So I can trigger sound effects or loop audio using just a Raspberry Pi and a twiddler. So the device that you get with this is a Raspberry Pi Zero, which is a very small single board computer that you just plug into your machine. So you don't need to do much configuration. I'm trying to make it as plug and play as possible. That's been one of the hesitations to getting this thing ready to go, because I know that not everyone's as tech savvy as I am. So I wanted something that you could just plug in to your PC or Mac, and with a couple simple drivers and another piece of software that talks to it, which is a config tool, you can set up how you want it to behave. So setting up what computers you want it to send data to, what ports you want the OSC information to be sent to, the devices, like pairing new twiddlers and stuff. That's usually kind of a complicated process because you have to go into command line on Linux. Jesus. Okay. I'm going to turn these alarm. Oops. How do I turn my alerts off, though? I'm not trying to turn off TTS, let me make sure TTS is still working. No, of course TTS isn't frickin' working. So I've probably been missing chat this whole time. Okay, I need to create a new chat client, because I hate IRL chat. Yeah, OpenSet, thank you. Love the shirt today. You even hooked it up for Apple people? Of course. It's windy, it's probably 10 miles per hour. Never use IRL chat, guys. It's terrible. It doesn't tell you when it disconnects, and when it does, you just sit there and think that it's still working, and it's not. So I just need to create my own chat client, you know. It's really frustrating when you have no visual indication that your chat has disconnected. Test. See, that worked. I think the rain's slowing down a little bit, but it hasn't ended, and I don't want any rain. Because one drop of rain can end up in your drone's motors, and it can, you know, it can be toast. I mean, if it doesn't let up in the next 20 minutes, I think we'll just do a drive. We'll just do a loop through the country here in Montana and call it good. We're rebuilding my client collab. Which client? Oh, your chat thing? Is it an Android app? Because I have a TTS app that's on my Jetson Nano that works really well. I just don't like the speaker being connected to my Nano. I'd rather be able to manage it all with my phone. But sure, if you want to work on that too, I can contribute what I can to it. Because your chat client's really handy. And if it could work on a phone, if it could work on Chromium on Android, that would be ideal too, because then you just have it. You'd have to have it open though. That's the challenge with me. But let's say Security Live, what if you had the chat client and then you just put in like a WebKit or like Chromium, whatever the Android thing is, and made an app out of it. You wouldn't have to like create an app, you would just create something that opens up to that and keeps that browser page active. So yeah, the mobile app is essentially, it would just encapsulate the web version. And ideally, you know, well, I mean, it's the same concept, right? What it would have to do, what I'd want as a, you know, as a user is the ability for it to tell me, sorry, I'm not connected right now. Because what IRL chat doesn't do that. It says when it does disconnect and when it does reconnect, but there's moments where it just, and this is all the time for me. I don't know if it's just my phone, but I could just be staring at it and it has like this chat thing and there's no indication that it disconnected. And I don't know what it uses on the back end. There's no visibility into it. So it'd be easy with your client. You just have like a ping, you know, that pings the chat server and it would alert you, sorry, chat's not connected right now. What I'd really like to have, and in the version that I would build for myself, is for it to archive chat as it comes along, and when your phone disconnects and reconnects, it catches up. And IRL chat doesn't do that, because I'm sure it probably just uses the IRC connection. Oops. Yeah, I remember PhoneGap. I mean, you could use something as simple as Tasker, as long as you could hook into all the APIs. And Tasker, I mean, it's not good for production, but just whipping up a quick like app that opens up a web page, Tasker is really good for that. You just create a Tasker scene, that's the web page, and then, yeah, just have that open up. And Tasker actually exposes an API to be able to do push notifications and alerts, so if your client disconnects, it can send a JavaScript message to Tasker, which can then alert you that your connection is dropped. Man, it feels like it's getting better. It's weird. It's almost, I mean, there's almost no clouds overhead. Developer on API that says on top of chat, I do that all in Node-RED. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing, you know, running like an AWS, something in AWS is probably the cleanest way to do that, right? So it's scalable. So basically something that digests IRC data into like DynamoDB, you know, and then pulls that, or does push notifications, or pushes it and exposes a WebSocket API for you to be able to pull it from a client. Yeah. You can also pull chat from the bod. I just feel like there's something missing here. What's up, Confidential? Welcome in. Streamer! I love talking nerdy. Because I feel like the one pain point that I've had with every IRL stream has been my chat. Right? I mean, for those of you who've watched it, every single time I stream, there's something that happens which just disconnects. And it's because I relied on IRL chat. Now, the Twitch chat client works great, but then you have to keep Twitch open, and it doesn't do text-to-speech. And that's an important part of IRL if you're driving, or just not generally, you know, wanting to stare at chat the whole time. If you have a low-volume chat, that's one of the best ways to do it. Now, it would also kind of be nice to be able to have sound effects built in. Or just imagine a WebSocket API that allowed you to just expose other things, you know, do other things with the phone. Like, what I've done with my phone here is I can send push notifications in to have things happen, like open a different app and stuff. And all that's kind of tied into my streamer bot. But it's obviously not like a production solution. But imagine if you could send custom messages per channel that would do things like, okay, play this sound effect on their phone, right? That's one of the biggest ones, I think, for IRL is just like being able to trigger custom sound effects. And I've wanted to do stuff like hook up like a Bluetooth light and be able to do like light effects, you know. I mean, anything, you do anything, as long as you have the right app for it. I also have the IRL printer and it'd be awesome to be able to work